Go with the flow.
Okay, we're going. So yeah, but today, believe it or not, I actually got an email, a work email, because I think the government are stopping new sign-ups for the furlough scheme as of the 10th of June. So my company haven't furloughed anyone, but they've decided now to make the most of the situation that if people want to volunteer for furlough, they can.
Mate, you're definitely volunteering for that, surely.
No.
But if they're going to stop it by the 10th, then there's no point.
No. They're stopping new sign-ups as of the 10th. So I could go on furlough now, for example, and I'd remain indefinitely furloughed till told otherwise. But if you don't tell them, if the company don't sign you up by the 10th, you cannot be furloughed on the government furlough scheme anymore.
Why would you not do that?
Because it takes away 20% of my salary, mate. And
It's not.
Huh?
Obviously it does, but then you're saving money from paying petrol to get to work.
Yeah, but I'm doing that now. I still want 100% of my salary.
Yeah, I was going to say, when me and Sam both working from home, you're still saving that money on travel anyway.
I thought they were sending you back to the office, Sam.
I don't have a date to go back to the office. The office reopens in 6 days. So I think that'd probably be next Monday.
When the office reopens as well, I was going to say there's a couple government things you can find it on their website, even if you just like Google returning to work, where you can also request to work from home if either you're at risk or someone in your family's at risk. So just because they're open in the office, it doesn't mean you have to be in.
They're just reopening. So we obviously, our company rents the office space. So the people that own the building have reopened the building for us to use.
Oh, right, got you.
I'm not personally going back. I've not been given a date to go back. I've been told that I'll still be working at home until told otherwise. And that there's
see it as like 20% of your salary to just stay at home and do nothing?
Mate, if you said that to me when I was your age, I would have been like, yeah, fine, I'll take it and I'll sit at home and I'll earn less money and I'll just do whatever I want all the time. But I want to move out my house and I need to get a mortgage soon. If it wasn't for COVID, mate, I'd be out looking at houses at the moment. I'd be looking at places to live. So this for me.
Stopping you? Just go out and just put a mask on. You still look at a house.
I mean, I need to go see a mortgage.
You're lazy. That's the problem with your generation.
It's just an excuse. Don't catch the COVIDs. Well, but yeah,
genuinely, I think furlough is just the best thing in the world. Like, obviously, COVID's like terrible and a few thousand people have died, but
it might be more than that. It might be more
other than them deaths. It's actually pretty banging. Is that what you're saying?
Andrew, I feel like you're enjoying being furloughed a little bit too much.
But is that a bad thing?
In the context of things, a little bit. Just a little bit.
If not from an entirely selfish point of view, I'm having a fucking amazing time.
I don't want to go back to work anytime soon, so...
I'm not going to lie, Jarv. If I was you, I wouldn't ever want to go back to work. Like, just straight up. I just wouldn't.
Hey, that's fucking deep.
I'm not going to lie. I worked retail for fucking over 4 years. And if I was off work for 6, 8, 10 weeks, however long it's been, Jarv, I wouldn't want to go back either. Because you don't get paid enough for what you fucking do in the shitty situation you've got to work in to then go and expose yourself to potentially sick people and catch COVID. Like,
I've just got lazy since the start of it.
I was trying to add some credibility to your fucking reasoning, John. Don't just tell me you got lazy.
Yeah, I'll get more time for anime now.
That's what it is.
Yeah, John, no one's going to have like any respect for you saying that you don't want to go back. It's just because, I'm just lazy as hell.
Because you got lazy, yeah. I was trying to add some credibility to your reasoning for not wanting to go back, and you just took a big dump all over what I said and just went, no, lazy.
That's how I feel. As soon as it started, I just got lazy, then just look outside. Don't want to go out.
To that.
You don't want to go out. You don't want to leave your house.
I mean, I would say there's like a few plus sides. Like even now, like I could do that 20% a lot more than not. But like the last the last few weeks are okay, but every time I've got around to month end and stuff like that, I've been working 13-hour days like regularly, like Monday to Friday, 13-hour days, and then straight like it'd be it was seven working days at least. And last month I think it was 10 working days that I was at 13 hours, which is horrendous. There was like one which was a 4-day work week, and I did like 52 hours or something like that.
Is that worse than normal? Like if you were in the office?
Yeah, it is, and I'm not sure why, because there's certain things that should be easier, like some of the accounts should have less transactions and stuff like that. But I think there's also been a lot of issues and IT problems and stuff like that, which is longing out other stuff. But like when you get into situations like that, it's hard to look at it and be like, yeah, I want to work, 30, because I don't get paid overtime for it. So it's like, yeah, I want to work that much instead of just getting furloughed. Like I don't know. It's kind of swings and roundabouts. So I look at my account now and I'm like, yeah, I'm happy for the extra money. But at the same time, I can see the appeal of just furlough and just not having to give a damn about any of it.
I can fully see the appeal of furlough as an option. Like, I can understand why Andrew's enjoying himself, because I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I'll get bored. I need to go back to the office. Number one, I don't crave that social interaction. And number two, I don't crave that need that I don't crave that feeling of being like having a responsibility or a role. I quite like doing what I want to do when I want to do it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is it. I've spoken to so many people and they're like, do you not get bored? I'm like, no, because I can just do what I want.
Yeah, I don't. I really does. At the end of the day, I've been last year. I was unemployed for 2.5-3 months, and then even after that, I was self-employed. So it's not like I went out and got hired for a job. And during those 2 or 3 months, I don't think I was ever actually bored. Like, I never thought to myself, oh, I'd rather be sitting in an office, like hammering out like some Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, but there's people that are like that. They're like, go to win the lottery, and they'll be like, oh, if I did win the lottery though, I'd have to keep my job. Like, fuck right off. Right off. That's the first thing this guy's sacked off.
Yeah, that's good, mate. I'm not even giving him no offense to you, like work or nothing, but like that's get this guy straight in the bin, mate. I'm not even giving him my notice. I'm just not turning up. Like, it's like, I won a lottery. Well, I don't ever have to speak to anyone from work again. I'm not going back in.
I'd have to go into work. Like, no, there's something wrong with you.
I spoke to Des about this, and she said that she was like, she probably wouldn't, like, she's like, I wouldn't have like my current full-time job, but she's like, I'd probably keep doing something part-time, maybe like retail, or like keep doing my hairdressing. I was like,
worst.
You don't have
retail? Really?
Yeah,
Hairdressing, yes. Retail, no.
I was going to say the hairdressing, I understand, because like
hairdressing could probably it's enjoyable for her, isn't it? And she's doing friends and family, so she's just
within reason. Because if she's doing it a lot, or she's doing like something for an event like a wedding or hair up or whatever, then sometimes she's got to be at a certain place at 6 a.m. doing, and then she's working straight through till 3 o'clock because she doesn't have a break or stop, and she's only little, so it hurts her fucking arms and that a lot. Whereas, if it was in a situation where you had a lot of money and you're just doing friends and family, then I could understand that because it's just something to do.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't.
Someone out as well.
I wouldn't do it outside of anything but friends and family. Like, if I was a millionaire, like, I would still help Conrad build a computer, like I have, but I do that just out of helping him and out of a hobby, not because I crave the fucking need to be Martina.
No, let's be real. You're going to help me because I'm going to show up to your doorstep with a whole bunch of computer parts and just be like, Sam, fix this shit for me. I don't know what happened.
You're greeted by Jeeves, mate.
It's like the Mr. Potato Head of computers. He just crunched all the stuff into a ball and just went, fix this. just handed it to me.
Mate, before this started and we're trying to get this set up, I was telling you to come over and just fix this setup so I don't have to look as orange as a goddamn look.
Boris says no.
Huh?
I said Boris says no.
Yeah, mate. I feel like the whole way we're coming out of this is really backwards. Like, especially this morning with I posted that article in the group chat for you about they've made it actually properly illegal. Like you can be prosecuted for staying at somebody else's house, obviously where you don't live, or having someone stay at your house that doesn't live with you. Like you can actually be put in jail for that. I mean, you're not going to, but like
I think I was going to say, I thought when I read it, there was a fine, £100 fine.
I just read it as a prosecutable, and I thought the £100 fine was the regular penalty now.
No, I believe it's £100 fine. I'm guessing if you had no intention to ever pay the £100 fine, it could escalate up. But the prosecutable offence, I believe, would be the £100 fine.
Oh, okay. I was on the impression. Huh?
So if
next season, the can't pay will take it away.
But then, how was that not always how was that not always included in the fining then? Like, if they're going to fine someone on the street £100 for not social distancing or gathering a large group, then how are they not fining someone if they know they've stayed around someone's houses where they don't live? That should have been part of the original, like.
I mean, it probably should have been in there, but it's that I don't understand why they're bringing it out now, because I honestly think it's just like a PR thing to be like, oh look, we still care about the spread of COVID. Like they've done an awful job. Their latest set of slogans doesn't make it clear what they want people to do. Like me and Andy were saying the other week,
what you are allowed to do, what the punishment is, and everything like that. Just highlights how confusing it's been.
I don't even think they know what they want people to do. Like, I think they're stuck in two minds of get the economy rebooted and let people catch it and become immune, and oh shit, we don't want to overrun the NHS and have loads of people dying and be blamed for it. And they're in two minds about it.
I think when the lockdown first happened, I think the message was really strong, really clear. Obviously, like, you know, stay home, protect the NHS. It's really, really clear what they want you to do. Like, nice, clear cut, and simple. And everyone followed that, or like for the most part, everyone followed that. Then you had
whose phone is
off? Mine.
Mine.
You want to put that group chat on mute because we can hear it?
Then you had the latest one, which is stay alert, control the virus, save lives, which just isn't clear what they want you to do.
No.
I think now I can.
Discord.
Which say?
It's got to be alert for the thing you can't see.
Can you mute Discord or not? Like, that's just the thing that's buzzing.
Well, just log out of Discord.
Yeah, good. Close it.
Or just mute the chat that's popping off.
Can I turn off my phone but still keep Zoom?
There's like hundreds. What
Discord chat are you in?
Loads. You don't even want to like start with Discord.
Are you one of those guys that joins Discord chats like their chat rooms?
Some of them, yeah.
I don't really get that. I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, join my Discord chat, join my Discord," like influencers, and I'm like, why? Like, it's just a live comment section of people just hurling abuse at each other, or whoever the content creator is. I don't understand this need for Discord groups like that. Like, I thought Discord was just a place where gamers could chat to each other about the games they're playing whilst they're playing the games.
That's what I use it for.
Yeah.
I have yet to be abused. What do you do on Discord, Sam, that you managed to get abused on it?
No. Like, if you watch like a lot of YouTube,
angered the nerds.
A lot of YouTubers have Discord groups, and when they make videos, like, I don't know, that's where they want to talk to the fans, they'll just unmute someone from the Discord group, talk to them for a while, and then mute them or kick them. But they all get abused. Like, KSI does one all the time, and he just fully gets abused by every single person that he unmutes. So his chat is just purely people abusing him in his own Discord server or group or whatever. So
I've got like gaming, Pokemon, some cosplay I follow.
But surely that is just a bunch of really thirsty nerds. Like, surely.
What you mean, like Jarv?
Yes.
You mean like-minded individuals for Jarvis?
Not surely, Jarv, you open that chat and you read it and it's just full of pervy comments.
Some are.
It's like the cosplay one, not the normal Pokemon one. Because if it's the normal Pokemon one, then it's worrying.
People sending erotic pictures of Ekans.
Look at my snake.
Going back on topic. I think
you don't want to talk about sexy coffee.
No, actually, no. That's right. Yeah, I think their whole like slogan. I think they messed it up. I think everything with Dominic Cummings, where he's clearly broken their rules and they let him get away with it, and they're not being clear in the message that they're sending out. I think people are just getting to the point where they're willing to do more of what they want. Like it's less about I should be more mindful, and it's just like, well, I don't even think most people have a clear idea of what the government want from them. They just know that the government's starting to open everything up, so they just assume, well, that's it now. Like,
Yeah, you can meet in groups of up to 6. Got to stay 2 meters away if you're not in the same households.
yeah,
You can go back to work, just not take public transport, even though you kind of have to.
yeah,
If you need to take public transport, take it, but don't take public transport. Go back to work, but make sure you work from home when you do go back to work outside your home at home. And go out in groups, but make sure you don't touch each other, but never in large groups. So if that wasn't clear, it's just don't get. People have gone a bit far with it because it's not super clear, but obviously common sense would lead you to believe some of it. You get you a rough idea of where you need to be, and people are literally being a bit sheepish and needing to be herded in the right direction like this by Boris. But unfortunately, he's tried to let the country have common sense, which as a collective we don't really have much of.
Yeah, but I still think it's a bit of an awkward one because you've got one line of people saying, yeah, but basically this is similar to like the common cold, which they are a bit incorrect with it because we've had of the confirmed cases, which I think is 300. I can't remember the exact number, but I was looking at the other day.
I can get them up for you while you're doing that.
I think I did the maths for it the other day, and I think there was about 14% of the confirmed cases have died. However, there could be a lot more unconfirmed cases, which reduce that like the actual kill ratio of it.
Yeah, because the number of tests have gone up quite dramatically, but the number of cases have still been on a decline. So that kind of shows how many people weren't getting tested before.
I think when you think about it as well, it's not the same as the common cold because this is 40,000 deaths as extra than the common cold. Like we would have an amount of deaths per year from the common cold, and now we have an extra 40k purely from COVID, which no one knew existed since before Jan. So I do think of it as a different thing, but I reckon some people look at it like, yeah, I'll be fine, I'll be healthy, I may as well see my mates to do what I want. Some people fundamentally don't know the government's position. And some people are convinced that it's a 5G tower that's zapping them with brainwaves.
Mate, that has got to be one of as far as conspiracy theories that actually get anywhere, that's got to be one of the most ridiculous. This isn't like the lizard people one, like the royal family being reptiles. It's actually gaining traction amongst people, and it's got to be one of the stupidest fucking things I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, people, bearing in mind, I think they said Iran has got quite a large number of corona cases. They don't have a single 5G tower. So I don't know who's not pointing this out to these people. Like it's one fact. Like it took me 2 seconds to find it out. Like I don't who's not pointing this out to them. Like so, how to get there? They're like, government. that's the reasoning that these people have. Oh yeah, it's the government and the higher society. They want to oppress us and pass things through Parliament when we don't know, right under our noses. This is why I hate people. This is why I fucking hate. It really is. It's got to be one of the stupidest fucking things I've ever heard.
We should definitely do a review of the worst conspiracy theories.
We did touch on this in a previous podcast, but it was more just.
I think we did.
It was more just talking about them rather than actually rating them based on their stupidity. Yeah. Like the royal family being lizards or whatever it was. That might be the stupidest one.
I don't know, man. Flat Earth for me. Flat Earth really takes it with me because I'm like, people figured out the world wasn't flat. Like I think it was in like 1200s or something like that when someone noticed there was 2 massive monuments, and someone noticed that at the same time on both days the shadows were different. So the only way that you could have that happen is if there was a curve between the 2 places, and then they over time managed to figure out that it was round. And then since then, we've had like
Lots of people weren't just walking off the side of it.
falling past the turtle that was just carrying it through the universe. That one just baffles me, and it's the sheer amount of people that have to be in on it for them to be right.
Yeah,
Like,
this
I can understand if you say, oh yeah, but the government lied about it. Like, governments lie about stuff all the time. I get that. But to say, like, you know, flight attendants, ships, sailors, astronomers,
I mean,
anyone.
It's far-fetched enough just to assume that China and Russia are going to agree to be on something with the US, for example. Like, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, sure, buddy, we'll get in that conspiracy theory with you. We'll all sit around the table at dinner. Who's cooking this week? It's just so retarded. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Honestly, but the thing is, the people that believe these things, I feel like they're stupid, but they want to believe they're intelligent and that they know something other people don't, as a sense of like they're included in something and that their knowledge is above what the average person is. And I think that's mostly the reason why people buy into these things.
Do you know, like flat earthers? Say if I want to go to Australia, right?
Yeah.
I could get a flight that either stops off in sort of like Hong Kong, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, or I could get a flight that stops off in Brazil or America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do flat earthers explain that?
So what they believe that because it is just a flat circle, that
Right.
what all the airline companies do is they plan this stuff out, and instead of it being the other side of the globe, it's in fact they just take you on a longer trip so that they can charge you more money.
All of them are in on this.
All of them are in on it.
All of the competing airline companies.
Plane in America.
What was that?
But you get out the plane in America.
Yeah, no, they're not saying that the different countries don't exist. And the funny part is they also believe that the other planets in our solar system are spherical because we can see them and we can see that they're spherical. So all of
the moon's spherical, but we just fly around like a Beyblade.
Yeah, so we're just like this, and then you've just got like, why don't nothing circular in my room? Socks.
God essentially just yeeted us, and then
we're just like this, and then you've just got this circular planet that we can see being circular, and we just happen to be the only flat one.
Yeah.
Right.
This looks like a magic carpet.
Yeah. So it's mad. I think did I send you guys that article that was it was about how people get involved in these conspiracy theories and what conspiracy theorists try and do to get people on site?
No, this is kind of what I was trying to talk about.
I mean, to be fair, I've been sending a lot of the stuff about the riots recently. I think this would have been a little while ago, but yeah. So essentially, what they were saying is it's actually quite smart. The way that they explain different things and go through it is they were saying it's really easy to buy into it, especially if you're not incredibly stupid with it, because they use your understanding of science that you already have, and they push past it with a thing called a critical argument or a crucial argument, which is something you can go home and you can research and actually, yeah, that does make sense. But the problem with it is that the leap of faith or the jump in assumptions that they make you take from an actual scientific experiment to what their conclusion is just too far, or they'll make you do like a few jumps and then you'll get to their conclusion. And that's the whole part of it, which is ridiculous, because science isn't good because of one test. Science is good because of thousands of people being able to do the same tests and work on the back of each other to come to better conclusions, not just like a one-off one. Like there was one about there's this weird thing where you can light waves. If you get certain energy waves, I think it is, if you put it through a filter, your eye depicts it as a flat line instead of a wavy line or something like that. So the argument then is humans can control the energy patterns like that are around us. But that's not like, that's the assumption that they've given you. But the reality is that's just what you can comprehend with the vision that you have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they use stuff like that, and then they use people that are gullible, willing to go along, like you said earlier, who are like doctors or something like that, and they'll have them explain it, and they'll be like, yeah, this is 100% truthful and accurate. And the problem is, like, you're thinking, well, I'm a smart guy, you know, this appeals to my understanding of science that I learned when I was going through stuff. I'm not particularly stupid, I understand all this. And they've got, you know, this expert saying, yeah, and then within no time at all, you're not vaccinating your kid, and you've got a risk of him dying from measles in, you know, 5 years or whatever.
I've started unfollowing people on social media when they post stupid shit like that. Well,
the most annoying thing, sorry, the last thing before I get off my soapbox, the most annoying thing about that is, because not everyone can have vaccines, because some people are at risk from certain vaccines and stuff like that, because obviously while your immune system's developing, if you have a weakness to something, you shouldn't be injected with that one so that your body can create antibodies and fight it off, because you're already kind of at risk to it, like COVID, like certain people are just more likely to have issues. So the herd immunity thing means I'm less likely to get it because everyone else has a vaccine, so it won't get into me. But by not vaccinating your kid, you're not just putting your kid at risk, you're putting other people's kids at risk. Like, and that's the thing that just infuriates me.
It's the reasoning behind it more than anything. That it's the reason they're not doing it behind, like that baffles me. Is that they think, wasn't this initially that they thought that vaccinations were linked to making their children autistic?
Yeah, that was a big argument for it. Yeah.
I mean, come on, like,
mate, I've never seen it like better put than this, but it makes me laugh that people have such a hatred or a distaste for autistic people. So there is no sign or signal that they actually do relate that vaccines cause autism. There is no proven journal in that at all. But even if it did, even if vaccines had a chance of giving your kid autism, people are really saying that they would prefer to have their kid at risk and die at age 5 than they would to have their kid as an autistic person.
Yeah, to be fair,
do people really hate the idea of their kid being that autistic that they'd rather they just die off at age 7?
Yeah, that's
like,
actually...
It's just disgusting. It's just... It's horrendous, man.
That is... I don't think that the vaccine thing, I don't think it's as fundamentally stupid and unbelievable as the 5G towers, as the lizard people one, but it's definitely the worst in terms of...
Probably one of the most harmful, yeah.
That it causes to people, the children and other children and people.
Oh mate, sorry. One last thing on the vaccine thing before we move on for it. I'll send you a clip from it. Someone who's an anti-vaxxer got sent. Someone sent them a list of chemicals, and they said, which one of these would you object to putting in your kid? And it's a whole list of them. There's like 30, and the person looks at it and they're like, all of them. I would never put any of these in my kid. And then the person goes, I just sent you the chemical composition of an apple. This is the single best evidence that you guys literally have no idea what's going on. Which I thought was just fucking hilarious.
They just see a long scientific name of something that sounds like it might be bad, and just go, no. Yeah. And then you ask for the reason, it's like, oh, that's poisonous. So, but you have no reason.
Yeah.
You have enough understanding to deem that poisonous. You're just saying that because you want to.
Literally, all of them together make a fucking apple. You have one of them a day, and you don't even have to go to the doctors for the vaccine.
Yeah, but then how many of those people stopped eating apples after that? Like, just to suit their agenda and push their cause, they'd probably actually stop eating an apple. It's really that stupid.
But yeah, I think you're right. It's probably not the most stupid one.
It's not the most unbelievable. There would probably be some semi-educated people that are part of that movement. Whereas some of the other ones, like the less believable ones, I struggle to comprehend how an educated person can be a part of that.
What about that they put chemicals in the water that turn the frogs gay? That was Alex Jones? I think that was one of Alex Jones's ones.
Is this the American guy that's got really far?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of videos of him.
Yeah, mate. The guy. Yeah, is this the really Christian guy that hosts the radio?
Yeah, Christian. Yeah.
Well, he claims to be.
You know.
Yeah.
To suit his
claims to be a right-wing, God-fearing Republican, I think. I think he's further over than a Republican. But yeah, he reckons that they're putting chemicals in the water to turn men more effeminate, and the result is it turns frogs gay. That's his proof. That's his proof.
So
You can see gay frogs.
does he just think that men are getting more gay now? Is that so? He's come up with this theory because he just believes men are more gay now.
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't want to explain the logic that Alec Jones got to. Maybe he saw some frogs at Gay Pride. I don't know what got to him.
I'd imagine he's sat there. He's probably grown up in an era where people weren't really openly gay. Because I know he's not. He's definitely not. He's quite an old guy.
Yeah, I think he's about 55, something maybe.
I thought he was older than that. To be fair, I thought he was in his mid to late 60s.
No.
But yeah, he's probably grown up in an era where people didn't want to admit that they were gay, or there weren't as many openly gay people. So it probably seems to him like there's more gay people. But the reality of it is, people just say that they're gay now.
I think what you're doing is, I think you're putting your logic to how he got to that conclusion. He has another case that he reckoned, the Pizzagate scandal, that he reckoned because there was a pizza parlor that American Congress people were using regularly, he basically uncovered the plot that it was actually a paedophile ring that they were all using, that they would go underneath this pizza parlor, climb into coffins, cover themselves in excrement, and I believe either sacrifice kids and or have sex with kids in coffins, covered in shit, in the basement of a pizza parlor.
Why do you get so weird with it?
Because he can.
Oh, fuck no!
You know, there's people that like.
It's very specific.
Yeah, like those people that feel like if they add enough detail to their lie, it becomes believable. But really and truly, it just becomes extra stupid.
What? You mean one part of that turned you against it?
What do you mean? I don't know if it was the coffin part, the having a shit party underneath Pizza Hut, or the fact that it was some weird pedo ring. I don't know what part of it could have possibly thought to me that it wasn't true, but there's a few giveaways there.
I think that one of the worst things about it is I always quite liked conspiracy theories because some of them are like, oh, that's pretty funny or that's pretty interesting. But I just feel like they've gotten so extra and so just damaging. Like I strongly believe that the government will not tell you the truth about everything. I mean, you've got countries like Russia claiming they've had like 4 people die from COVID, even though they had 300,000. Yeah, and there's a place in America that's usually has something like 800 people per year die from pneumonia. And apparently they've had like 300 people die from COVID and they've had 6,000 people die from pneumonia. Like, I have no doubt government will lie about stuff all the time.
They've got pneumonia because they had COVID.
Yeah.
They just spontaneously got pneumonia.
Yeah, it's a spontaneous pneumonia pandemic.
Really bad. Oh, they've got pneumonia. That's what a shame. Just writing down the death certificate like, yes, pneumonia.
But like, I fully believe they'll lie about stuff, but at the same time, it's like there's certain things that they don't like. Vaccines, like there's enough scientific journals out there. Don't research your shit on Facebook. Have like Google into the stuff, look into the textbooks and the rest of it. Like,
well, that's
God, it angers
part
me.
of the problem, though, don't you think, that people believe that them Googling something for 30 minutes gives them a more valid opinion than people that have done years of scientific research? I think that's part of the problem as much as it, because doing research is great and the internet is a great source for research, but it's in the eyes of the person carrying it out that is more important than what they're actually looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to see your guys' take on it, but I think a lot of it is, I'm not blaming social media for it, but a lot of stuff nowadays is people always thought that their opinion is as important as someone else's, and although that is the case, your opinion isn't more important than facts. If you think you can fly by jumping off a building, it does not mean you can fly and you will go to your death. But people think, I get the feeling that people think their opinions are as important, which is why, like people saying, like vaccines are, I've done my research. Well, what part of your research is going to be better than the 6.5 billion that I think we spend globally on vaccine research? Yeah. Like, what part of my day off that I spent looking into Google is worth more than 6.5 billion. Like, Jesus
Yeah,
Christ, you can make your own company if your research was that fantastic.
the issue is that they
But
come
sorry,
up with,
I was going to say, I'm just curious about your guys' take, because I was reading something that was basically saying, because we've got to that point where people think that their research and their 5 minutes on Google is as important as all of this research, that things have become quite about like popularism, like hence Trump with all of his Twitter usage. Boris Johnson is definitely a populist. He's swung his different directions based on Brexit. Do you guys think that social media should do more stuff about it? Because Twitter's come out and said about flagging certain stuff.
they flagged Trump
Yeah.
like that, which is
And it was like, how do they, and stuff like that.
yeah. And then instead of
Instagram just started doing it for a while.
and then but instead of it then doing something productive about the riots and trying to and coming out and speaking properly, he then decided to put his efforts into taking down Twitter instead of doing something properly productive with his time. But anyway, yeah, I was gonna make a similar point, and I guess the two tie into each other. Is what I was gonna say is it's gonna come across a bit bad, but do you think that when I say freedom, do you think people have got too much freedom of information and speech to the point where it's negatively impacting people's academic knowledge of things?
Yes, definitely. Like, I'm not being funny.
I feel
if
like
you're
we're
arguing
going backwards because people feel like they can educate themselves better than a textbook or an academic could. And that ties in with social media 100%, I think, because people, a lot of BS and a lot of incorrect information and fake news is spread about mainly by social media. And people don't fact check, they don't look into things, they don't source things anymore. And a lot of people didn't grow up in a technological era like we did, can't spot something fake from real. Like sometimes even my mum, for example, who uses computers and uses her phone regularly, she might not be able to tell something that's fake. And I look at it straight away and I'm like, that's 1,000,000% fake. Like I can just spot it. I don't even need to look into it properly. I can see it's fake. There's definitely that element that comes from social media where I think it's ruining people's potential academic knowledge of things, and they're replacing it with opinions and misinformation.
Yeah, cool. So obviously half the articles you see on Facebook's probably the worst one. But like, half the articles on there are only marginally better than them adverts you see on Reddit for like 52 tricks the casinos don't want you to know.
yeah.
Facebook articles are only marginally better than that, just because somebody put some thought into it.
My theory behind this is the Facebook one is that the reason that stuff gets spread around more on Facebook is because I think the average Facebook user is significantly older than the average Twitter and Instagram user.
Yeah, of course.
Which relates back to my point where I don't think older people are as tech savvy and can spot things that are incorrect on the internet and being shared around social media as young people can. So although
Facebook mums be done.
Facebook Karens.
I mean, if you want to put it that simply, yeah, it does what it do. But I mean, don't get me wrong.
I was going to say, I guess it would travel easier as well, though, wouldn't it? Because if you see your cousins linking this and you have respect for your cousin,
exactly,
it gives credence to the argument of what they're posting. I don't know. I mean, it's a difficult one because you can't completely censor it. You don't end up with like China's like overseer government like looking at what you can and can't do. But at the same time, you need an ability of flagging stuff because, like, what was the funny one? Oh yeah, because so someone posted all of Donald Trump's tweets from their own private account, and after I think it was something like after 12 weeks, they got like completely banned from the account. So like it goes to show there's a level of what they will allow and what they won't allow and stuff like that. But Facebook has come out and said that they shouldn't be the arbiters of truth. So a whole bunch of people have been saying that Mark Zuckerberg, the child molester CEO of Facebook, believes that they shouldn't fact check information.
I mean,
it's pretty blunt, but it gets.
The thing is, it's hard to disagree with him though, because at the end of the day, like you said, if you start filtering what people say, if it's not a hate speech, if you start filtering what people say because it's not true, then at what point do you stop? And then you just say you can only post about this, and this.
Surely you can just point out that it's wrong. Like, allow people to share it, but just be like, oh, by the way, it's wrong.
But then if you go back
that's true.
If you go back to conspiracy theories, for example, if they say, well, I believe, and I've got this amount of proof, whether it's a lot or not, I believe by this proof that I'm right, then they've still got something to say that they're right. Whether it's correct or not is different.
But then, for example, if I shared a video of, I don't know, somebody shaking hands with a policeman from 5 years ago and said, I saw this in Washington this morning. Like, the video's correct, but it's completely wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a way to police that, though, mate. I don't think
should be able to, like, put where you found a link first before you post it, and then, like...
Well, yeah, but what if you've recorded the video with the intention of deceiving someone? So if I've gone out and done what Andrew said, and shook hands with a policeman or whatever, and then I've got someone else to do it, an actor or someone I've paid, and then posted that and said it was 5 years ago and that they were doing this 5 years ago already, how have you been so blind, blah, 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 blah. And then what point, because then if they say, oh, you've got to source it, I'll be like, yeah, it was me, I took the video. So then,
there's nothing you can do about that. That's what I said it before. The Sun paid for them pictures of the English army abusing Iraqi prisoners of war.
Oh, yeah,
and it turned out a few months later that actually the images had all been falsified. Like the gear that the army soldiers didn't have on, wasn't accurate, and basically it didn't have a source. It got investigated and there wasn't a source for it. So I guess in a sense, like, there's nothing you can do. But I did notice, isn't Twitter doing something where they flag something as like possible misinformation, or like
not proven?
Yeah, or like I'm sure there's another one which is like possible Photoshop or something like that. Because Ice Cube tweeted a picture of the guy who killed George Floyd with a MAGA hat on, but it turns out that image was actually faked, although the guy's obviously a disgusting human being. There wasn't actually that image of him wearing a MAGA hat. And I think Twitter put a little flag next to Ice Cube's posting that just said something like possible Photoshop, like possible misinformation or whatever. I feel like that's fair, because then you can look at it and be like, oh, I wonder why they've said that. I'll search it. I'll try and have a look for myself. Or
the only funny thing is, like, when you see it, because obviously they have to do it for everything. So they do it for like memes as well that are clearly like meant to be fake.
I've just seen the picture. It's not even the Photoshop says make whites great again.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Let me just confirm it by opening up a few more. It says make whites great again, and there's actually a few.
It doesn't make sense.
What make whites great again? Are you saying the English doesn't make sense, or the?
Yeah, like, and yeah, well, a bit of both. Yeah, like.
I mean, grammatically, I don't really want to argue about the grammatic at this point.
I didn't understand.
We all fundamentally disagree with it.
Yeah, I didn't understand where you were coming from with that. Whether it's the idea behind it or just the grammar. Grammatically makes no sense, but it's a shit point.
It's not like we're like a minority, though, is it? Like that. Like, it's not like we're treated the same as. I know, but in a bigger picture, we're not like.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say the whole "making us great again" thing doesn't hold much. Yeah, I get what you mean. But I mean, then what you've got to take from that is it's a white supremacy thing that he's pushed. That the fake picture is allegedly of him pushing his white supremacy, not just bring whites back to the way they were. No, it's clearly something a bit more Nazi-ish.
Just in case as well, because I said earlier about conspiracy theorists Googling things and then thinking it's worth as much as the investigations that other people do as a whole. And then I did just say about the misinformation, and you'd have to Google it yourself to look into it. To be clear, I do think you can do both. I think you can look at information, and if you see it on certain places as it being flagged up as fake or spam or something like that, you can come to that conclusion yourself. But if there is cases where something is complicated that you're looking into, then I'd say probably side with something that you know is happens to be more true, like a PolitiFact. They seem to be an independent adjudicator of these things, so you can see stuff there.
Yeah, I've
so I'm
seen
just covering myself after saying what I said.
Yeah, but it really does come down to the person reading it, because at the end of the day, if someone wants to believe in a conspiracy theory, they could be told, like, there could be a fact-checked article, and by whatever government law they could bring in for this, that says at the top of it, this has been proven wrong, it's fake. They could then read it, believe it, and say, oh, that's been put there because it's a conspiracy against what I believe. So they're making me believe that it's fake by saying that it's fake because the government put that there. I mean, it really does get to that point.
Well, I guess in that case, then
something, they will believe it. Whether they'll find reasons to believe it.
Well, I mean, I guess if it gets to that point, then can we really do anything about any of it other than maybe increasing education through schools? Like,
and again, even a lot of especially up in America more so than here, just the school system's broken, mate. It doesn't properly teach people about life. It teaches.
What you mean? Because the school boards can veto stuff like evolution and teach creationism instead.
Yeah, like a lot of American schools are still very.
They do that in America.
They can, yeah.
Yeah, they're still very religious driven. Like they're very patriotic. The kids still sing national anthem and they teach a lot of stuff about Christianity, etc., etc.
Patriotic. They also have they have these school boards that can veto what's been put forward by the school, because I think it's run at a state level and not a government level. So what happens is there's one place, I believe it's Alabama, it might be, every reference to the fact that the UK is not 6,000 years old and created by God, there's a sticker that says evolution is just a theory, and can be unproven, like that essentially. So like already
in all their textbooks,
I can guess it.
In all their textbooks about evolution, it will have basically an asterisk saying terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, basically. God does not approve this message.
And then the teacher just comes up with a massive Bible of the Old Testament and slaps you with it.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if the teachers have to follow it, but I know that's what's in the textbook. So I'm guessing you could have a teacher that's like, look, it's probably evolution. But
if the state are pushing that into textbooks, then surely systematically it trickles down to hiring teachers that are more.
Well, that's the thing that I don't know, because I believe the people that veto it aren't part of the school, but they're part of the school board. So they would have no decision over hiring and stuff like that. They can have their word on the curriculum that's being learned.
But then at some point in the hierarchy, they would be responsible for people getting a job. Like, I mean,
no. So I believe it is a separate thing altogether. So it would be
like superintendents and stuff like that who oversee multiple schools in a district. So who? Yeah,
but once again, I don't think they answer to the public in the same way. I think the structure is different. I think it's purely based around the curriculum, because I remember there was this thing about basically wives of soldiers from the Confederate War were really unhappy that everything in the press was saying about how the South was racist, and actually they didn't want their dead husbands to be remembered that way. So they started to revise some of the history and information, and they started to come out with things such as slaves and Confederates would have events like parties on the weekend and stuff like that, which is just not proven in like thousands of cases. But they were some of the people that started to propagate the idea that the war wasn't mainly about slavery, that actually it was about the North trying to gain power and stuff like this. and they managed to get it in enough textbooks that it actually started to get taught. So there was a whole thing about this like a while ago. But basically, your concern is then the people that you're arguing nowadays saying, yeah, but the Confederate War wasn't about, or the American Civil War was about slavery. The people that you're arguing against that today have learned in school that it was not about slavery. So I guess that's going back to your point. American schools are awkward.
Yeah,
it's a tricky one to deal with.
There's a really odd disparity between the UK and America in the fact that we are so similar in a lot of ways and so ginormously different in others. And I do feel like we're on the better end of the deal. I know we've been brought up here, so there's not that level of patriotism they have. I mean, I've been to America and there are some very nice things about it, but in terms of their education and a borderline toxic patriotism in certain places, and then obviously terrible gun laws, I feel like we have definitely ended up on the better side of the pond.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree on the pure basis that we don't have enormous riots breaking out across the entire country over something that should have been dealt with fucking years ago with a change to the judicial system. I think the difference is I wouldn't describe England as the land of the free, but I think we have a lot more issues with. I don't know. I think we have a lot more issues with class and things like that.
Yeah,
but it's also a much older country as well.
So what was that, Jov?
Is that the rich protecting the rich and all that kind of thing?
I think that definitely still takes place in America.
No, it does, but I guess what my point is, to a different extent, because it's an older country, like, you know your place, Sam. Like, unless you win the lottery, you ain't never going to become one of these millionaires. Like, all of us sitting here don't believe that us, or probably even our kids, are going to become millionaires. We all know our place. We're gonna work. We're gonna do the best we can. We're gonna have nice little families. We're gonna do what we can from there. But none of us believe we're gonna be the next fucking prime minister or any of that shit. And I think in America, they are constantly fed this idea that the world is their lobster and that they can do everything. I think they have a much...
The world is their lobster.
Lobster.
World's your oyster, that's the one, isn't it? It's a seafood. They think the world is their seafood.
The world is my tuna. Yes,
but I think as a result, they're a lot more optimistic, and they feel like they have a better chance of these things, which obviously makes it all the more crushing when you realise you're just being chewed up and spit out by the machine.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we got some things in early, like separation of church and state, when we had a fucking king who damn near split the church based on the fact that he wanted a divorce. So I think I can definitely say I think we got lucky with a few things, but
yeah, I think that's definitely done us good in the long term, and it has stopped that level of Christianity pushed in our schools. It's because it's really not pushed in our schools at all. Like,
you say that, like, obviously, if you go to a Catholic school, then it is.
Catholic school, yeah. That's what I mean. Like, it depends what school you go to.
Conrad, you went to a Catholic primary school, didn't you?
Yeah, St. Joseph's. Is he just run off? He just asked me if I went to a Catholic primary school and then just run off.
Yeah,
I had to open the window, mate. You stopped doing stuff next door now, and I'm absolutely sweating.
In Catholic primary schools, I found out that, like, in, say, like, sex ed and stuff, they aren't taught about contraception at all.
I mean, that's it would largely go against what the Catholics believe and teach people.
It's still, like, nutty in this day and age. Do you not think?
Well, it's difficult because
the idea of people believing in a man floating on a cloud this day and age is nutty, but people still believe in it.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one because I'm trying to remember what I went over, and I'm trying to remember when I was in, like, year 6, if they had sex ed and stuff like that, because mine was for primary school. Unless there was a priest involved, I doubt sex was involved.
We went to the name of
Yeah.
We went to a primary school called Waltham Holy Cross. But with
C of E?
huh?
Is it C of E?
Yeah.
Ah.
But with the exception of a couple times a week, you had like hymn day. Remember when you used to sing hymns at school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the exception of that, then there was a couple of like Christian songs and that. Apart from that, it wasn't pushed on us. I mean, for my first year of primary school, our head teacher wore dog collar.
Yeah. So did ours.
Yeah, I mean, then we got a different person, and it wasn't the same. But even then, it wasn't shoved down our throats. Like, again, I didn't grow up in America, so I can't say that it definitely happens like that. But the idea that I have of it is that it's drilled into kids.
Yeah, I mean,
more.
the thing is as well, like you
Well.
wouldn't necessarily send your kid to a Catholic school without them having an idea that they're going to have a Catholic bias on what they're teaching. You're not going to send your kid to a Catholic school and expect them to come back as a convert to Islam. Like it's you know what you're getting into. But I don't think mine was horrendous.
Did you go to a Catholic school because it was your local school, or because your family are Catholic?
Well, they were Catholic, and my dad went to, I think it was a Catholic primary and secondary school. Mum had gone to a Catholic primary and secondary, so I think I was always going to go the same way. And you know me, I'm just such a devout Catholic. I think the main difference between us is that you're all going to burn in hell, and because I'm Catholic, I will repent my sins and I will be forgiven. So,
no, if I repent my sins,
Down to hell with us.
if I repent my sins before I die, mate, apparently all will be forgiven, and Jesus will accept me, and I will go to heaven.
No, but you believe in Church of England, so you don't believe in the proper. There's like a line. So there's like, do you know, like when you got like a boss at the top and he gives orders down. Yours was like a breakaway company years ago, and it actually just has no connection back up to the top. So actually, yours is You would go to heaven, but it would be like a B-Tech, more similar. It's more similar to hell, but they've just got a sign saying, "Yo, it's your boy. Let's go heaven." But it's actually just a hell. You'd know these things if you're Catholic and you went to a Catholic school.
I don't believe in the Church of England. I don't believe in religion.
It's not like a guy in the cloud. Church of England exists. They've got priests and stuff.
As a devout Catholic you are, it's not like the guy in the cloud doesn't exist. It's about the church.
Hey, once again, I'll repent my sins. I'll be fine.
That's all I got to do, baby.
Yeah, man, I'll square that. I'll square that on the end day. That's cool. That's chill.
I'll live an entire life of sin, and then at the end, I'll just get a priest to come by, tell him I repent all my sins. I'll get him to do it for me or something. And
baby.
I'm sorted. I'll meet you.
Yeah, rock the rosemary a few times.
Yeah,
get your prayers in.
I'll meet you in the 5-star heaven where we've got good DJs, and then Jarv will be in B-Tech heaven where they just play Kevin and Perry on loop constantly.
That sounds like hell already.
Kevin and Perry. Oh.
So.
Is there a reason for that, or?
Shit.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Jarv, can I ask you, and tell me if you don't want to talk about it, can I ask you about your gout?
Gout?
Well, you said your foot, and you said you spoke to doctors. And
No, it's gone back to normal. It's fine. It was nothing.
It wasn't nothing, mate. Like, this is, I cannot stress this enough to you. It wasn't nothing. It went away, but it wasn't nothing. Like,
the port and cheese disease.
The doctor did say to you, it sounds like gout, which is...
No, he said it could be. Could
be. Did they say it could be? Did they say it could be anything else?
Yeah, could be anything.
So did they name anything? Or did they specifically say gout? It sounds like gout is one of the options.
That was the last thing you said.
Ah, okay. So, I mean, something happened to you
He just said take some anti-inflammatory tablets and then call back if it gets any doesn't change.
Just for some context here, because Andrew probably doesn't know about this.
That's
Jarv's toes turned black.
Not black.
Sorry, Jarv's toes became severely bruised with no physical impact to them whatsoever.
Right.
None. Like, as in, Jarv's like had no idea. He's like, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. So I've not basically essentially almost not touched my feet, and now I have these massive bruises on my toes. To the point where it was uncomfortable to walk. So I advised him to speak to the doctor because it sounded like it might be something, and he couldn't, obviously due to the COVID-19 stuff. He couldn't just walk into doctors or get an appointment, so he had to do a number phone one. And with all due respect to my lovely friend Jarv, he is a bit grunty. So I don't know what level of information this doctor received, but all I'm going to say is that last time something was wrong, Jarv ended up having gangrene. So,
well, because he left it for months on months without doing anything about it, and then it ended up becoming gangrene. Yeah.
The gangrene issue dates back pre-Centre Parks of the year before it happened. So we went to Centre Parks in October. So it was last year, the gangrene thing. So it's pretty much exactly a year ago. Like,
the Thatcher Jones one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, Thatcher Jones.
So October 2018 was when Joel Thatcher Jones everywhere. Don't get me wrong. We didn't help the situation.
Yeah, but he knew. But the first signs of it were like 4 years before that.
Yeah. Like the first.
Do you remember?
Signs,
like there was the issues that led up to it.
Jarv went to Ukraine and came back with nuclear piss.
Yeah, radioactive. But sorry, my point was going to be, before we get into the ins and outs of it, Jarv didn't do anything about it, and then it ended up getting a whole lot worse. Like, basically what happened to him, right?
Because
so
there
Jarv,
were patches.
Are you going to do anything about this foot thing?
No. Okay, so this is from a website for you.
If you develop gout symptoms such as a sudden excruciating pain in one of your joints, call your doctor. Although an acute gout attack will go away on its own even if you don't treat it, gouts that left untreated can eventually lead to more severe pain and joint damage. Recognizing the signs and symptoms of a gout attack can help you prevent future attacks. So you understand, essentially by ignoring this, it's going to come back.
You're asking
it will
for
get
more
worse,
gout.
and you will eventually be in a lot worse position.
We cannot stress this enough to you, mate.
My dad's had it a few times, and he's like,
yes, mate, it's more normal for someone in their 60s to get gout. You're 29.
Also, hang on, why the fuck is he just leaving it? How about both of you go to the doctors?
Did your dad go to the doctors and get diagnosed with gout?
Of course he did. That was like, you just need some medication to take, and then that was it.
But you haven't got the medication yet, mate.
You didn't get anything. You just said to yourself, "I went, so I'm good."
Oh yeah.
Bits of you are turning different colours.
Yeah.
It's not normal at the moment. If it gets any worse, then
Colin's pissed himself and there's no sound.
if it gets any worse, then of course I'm going to go to the doctors again.
Yeah, but the idea is you have these things sorted before they get worse.
But what if we can't do anything then?
No, you can.
No. That's a good point. That's a good point. What if they can't do anything at all? I guess when you get to that point, then you look into alternatives, or you focus on your comfort of life instead. However, have you gotten to the point where they've said to you, "We can't do anything"?
No, he just said take some tablets, then ring back and.
Did you get the tablets?
So basically, mate, you've had symptoms you've had symptoms that display that you've potentially. We're not doctors, so we're not going to say you have, but you potentially had gout. Your doctor hasn't seen you in person, nor has he seen a picture, and he said it could be gout. It probably isn't, but it could be. But he's not seen any pictures, and he's going by what I'd imagine is your very vague description of the experience.
Jarv, describe it to us. I want to see if I was a doctor, if I'd pick it out.
It's a few weeks ago, the toes just turned to like purpley colour. And that
was it. That's all the doctor got.
No one help him. No one help him. No one help him at all. Jarv, just give us the explanation. Like we are your 3 doctors.
No, toes went purple.
Probably like a mix of red and purple. Like.
Red.
We got a further colour scheme. Decent. We now have a palette. Any time frame, dates, any of that? Mate, your doctor's fuck. How the fuck he was ever going to pick anything that you explained to him?
Maybe now it's like 5 weeks. It was like
John,
5 weeks ago.
And how long had you had it before you spoke to the doctor?
About 2.
Okay, so I'm going to give what I think is an acceptable explanation to a doctor over the phone, and you tell me how much of this you included. Doctor, for the last 2 weeks, I've had really uncomfortable pain in my feet to the point where I can't walk. I've had no physical impact, but they're starting to look really bruised.
I didn't say you can't walk. I didn't say you can't walk.
No, I didn't say you couldn't walk. I said it's uncomfortable to walk. That's what you told me, right? I might have said that, but that's what I meant. It's uncomfortable to walk. It's causing me not pain, but again, it's discomfort. And they're quite bruised. They're gone purple, and it doesn't seem healthy. What do you advise? How much of that did you say to your doctor?
The purple bit.
I just said that. I was about to say. I didn't say it's uncomfortable. I just said like it's been 2 weeks and they haven't changed at all. They've just stayed the same.
Right.
Like, they haven't healed. So.
But you didn't say.
I don't know, Matt. I feel like you're changing your story. Because we just asked you how you describe it, and they went purple, and then we went more information, and you went red and blue, which are the 2 colours that lead to purple. So,
I just told him that it's been like that for 2 weeks. Haven't healed. What should I do?
Right. But you didn't say you had. I mean, you told me that it was uncomfortable for you to walk, and that you hadn't left the house in quite a long time because of it. Like you hadn't gone for walks or any form of exercise because of it.
No, I just got. I don't remember saying that bit.
I mean, you messaged it to me, so.
Okay, hang on. If you don't remember saying it, Jarv, how many times did you go out during that time?
Almost every night, like since lockdown.
No. So I'm saying, so once that hit your feet and they started to get all bruised up and they were really painful, you went out every single night.
Yeah.
Where were you
That's
going?
literally the opposite of what you told me.
Just down to the park and then back again.
Mate, that's literally the opposite of what you told me when we first spoke about it. You said you hadn't been out. In fact, you even posted about it on social media saying, finally get out, it's been a while, and then posted your walk. And then I messaged you to say, have you been keeping on the exercise grind? Because, I like to make sure that you're keeping fit. And then you said, no, I thought back and I haven't been exercising. And then you explained you had gout.
The deceit job.
Mate, he's got no fucking clue.
Anyway, bottom line is, I rang the doctor. He said to take some anti-inflammatory tablets. If there's no change, just ring back.
Okay, so Jar, please promise me that if it comes back even a little bit, you go to doctors and you show them, and you take a picture and send it to them, and say, "This isn't normal. Do something."
I've had this before.
Yeah, if it was a different part of your body, Jar, if it was like,
if your head's turned blue, you'd probably say something about it.
Yeah, like if your ear just turned bruised for no reason, you'd be a bit concerned about your blood pressure or something, so you'd probably call a doctor. Like, I wouldn't walk around on my uncomfortable bruised feet for 2 weeks and not
Mate, I'm so confused, like what the doctor has to deal with when you talk to him. Because, like, as I said, we went for your explanation, and we just got colours and then more colours.
The doctor
and then
just
when
has nods, and Jarv just nods at which one he has.
Then Jarv explained to us what happened, and he's like, "Yeah, it was all fine. I was out every day. I was chilling. I was going to the park. I was doing all of it."
It's different over the phone. When I'm in person, it's like a lot easier to say what's wrong. Like,
Yeah, but then Sam just gave you a cross-examination and you're like, oh yeah, no, I actually didn't go out for that entire duration.
I said, this is why I worry about you, because I know what you're like. So you think you've given your doctor the full story, but I know the story better than you know the story, and I reminded you of what happened.
Bottom line is they're fine now for now.
I mean, I'm glad
No.
they got better.
John carefully checks his feet.
Really.
I'm glad they got
No,
better.
they're back to normal colour like white and so on.
I don't know what normal is for you in terms of colour now. Because the way you've described the colour of your urine to me in the past has been quite concerning. But you seem
God,
to
do we have to?
think
Yeah,
it's
no,
not.
we're not getting
It's
into.
normal.
I'm getting to food before I get into this conversation.
Look,
Oh, mate, Jarv, you know,
that's
it's going on the you know, the podcast is the full. I'm not cutting this one down.
fine.
Okay, your feet are going to the podcast then. That's brilliant.
Oh,
Nice toenails.
This is the one benefit of not looking at the screen. I
I mean,
don't have to stare at Giles'
your
feet.
big toe does look a little bit swollen, and your toenails do look a little bit on the yellow side.
What is
mate.
that? What is that? What is that? That's disgusting, mate. That's fucking rank. It looks like there's an onion attached on the end of your foot.
Well, that's what it is.
You don't even have a toenail, man. It looks like you put a visor on the end of a fucking bulb. What is that?
It's fine.
Oh, mate. Get the doctor to just check your feet out. You're grim. Oh,
Fuck off, they
fuck,
are.
man.
Fuck off, they are.
Oh,
So look, they're fine.
God, man. Hey, that is not fine.
So what's wrong with them?
Despite your what is right with them?
In a mental sense, they're fine.
In a colour sense, they only look
Medical.
slightly off. In an everything else sense, they look a little
I still got a shock from that foot, man. That's fucking right. Honestly, I don't think your feet are right. I don't think your feet are right. I don't think your guts are right. I think there's a lot of reasons for you to go to the doctors, man.
But yeah, you know, when you injured yourself at football, it makes sense now because that's the feet that you were standing on whilst it happened.
Why is your big toe just a bulb, mate?
Why does it look like it's running away from the rest of your toes?
Wait, I'm convinced he must have put a rubber band around his fucking big toe and it just bulbed up on the end. You just quickly took him off before he whipped out on camera, man. What? Oh.
No warning.
Looks like a radish. That's what radishes look like, isn't it? Where it like pokes in and then bulbs out again.
I mean, it'd be the right colour as well, apparently. Radish. Yeah, I mean that this looks like Jar's collection of toes. To be fair, like, oh, I can't see the white ones. They're so long.
I'm
That's not
serious,
baby.
though. Your feet look so bizarre.
Well, it's what I'm born with, so you can go fuck yourself.
I don't believe that
No,
you're
Jav, put your hand up. Put your hand up to the camera like that. Put your hand up to the camera like that. Other way around, right? And get nice and close so they can see your nails. Because you weren't born with short ass nails. You have systematically destroyed your nails every chance that you've had until you're now left with a tic tac for a goddamn nail to cover your finger. You were not born that way.
Jar, can you show me the inside of your thumb quickly?
Inside.
Both of them, like this, like I'm doing here. What is that on the end of your thumb?
Oh, it's a blue marker.
It's gout.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about it. It's just gout. Go
just,
away.
Just worrying as well.
It'll absorb into my skin. It's fine. So I had to discuss, because I've not spoken to you on the phone, and the only time we've interacted is through our weekly quiz. So I needed to speak to you in person, and it happened to be on the podcast, which is now going on YouTube. So the world will know about your potential gout problem now. Thankfully, we're not that successful.
We can have monthly job updates.
It'd be
Yeah, I think
a great section of the podcast is just, if we can call it weekly Jarv.
what disease does he have this week?
He can just tell us about something that's happened in his life that's new, and we can slowly draw more and more information out of him, like squeezing blood from a stone.
Actually,
Until we get
we
the
could
answer.
do that, like those Carl Pilkington segments where they just get him to explain something in his diary from when he was a kid. Maybe we should do it with Jarv.
I mentioned this, and I don't know if you were in that podcast, actually. I mentioned it in a podcast, and I said about Carl Pilkington doing the diary, and they explain it. I said, I watched the Ricky Gervais show, and I was like, Jarv could do this. Like, he's 100%. You are our Carl Pilkington. Like, if I had the funds, I would 100% set you up with a camera crew and a GoPro, and just to follow you around your journeys in the world, just to see how you interact with people. Although I am mostly convinced it would just be you grunting at foreigners.
What?
Just in Vietnam with a handful of dongs just going, trying to buy like knockoff Pokemon merchandise.
It's so true. I don't think he'd do it in an aggressive manner, just because it's just like
You're just.
that.
I just, because I know you go traveling a lot by yourself now, so I'm just so intrigued to see how you interact with people that don't speak the same language as you, because obviously you don't speak in other languages as far as I'm aware, Jav. And that's something.
I know a few words of mixed language.
I mean, is that
I
just
know
like
enough
hello?
about it.
That's
I
like
know
hello,
enough to get
bye,
that.
thank you.
Yeah, that's all you need, really.
And yes and no.
It's
You
not
need-
all you need.
Yeah, but you also need yes and no. Yes and no is a fucking massive part of it. And you've just got hello, goodbye, thank you. So would you like some food?
Hello.
Goodbye.
No, you could say thank you to that.
I mean, it depends on where in the world you are, I guess. But I wouldn't. I can't imagine.
Okay then. Let's change the question. Andy, would you like burgers or a pizza?
Hello.
I reckon you need about 7 phrases and you're good for
No,
most
mate,
languages.
this is where you're vastly underestimating Jarv's various levels of grunts. There's one for every scenario, you see. A pizza grunt would sound more like, but a chicken grunt would sound more like, So,
Well, I think like a few, more than that than Spanish and whatnot.
You should use the grunt that he started when you said, "Jarv, can we talk about your gout?" You should use that grunt and then play it back now and measure it up against his other grunts and see what it comes out as.
yeah, you should have a Jarv scale of grunts from 1 to 10. And when the doctor asks how much does your boo-boo hurt, you can represent it by the grunt. I feel like we should move away from
Just 18th century diseases.
Yeah, I feel like we're bullying Jarv a little bit, so maybe we.
I was actually going to say I might have to go and get some food because it's now 9:20.
Yeah, to be fair, huh?
Yeah.
No, didn't he yet, Conrad?
No, mate. I was working this whole time, mate. The reason I got on late is because I was still working.
Must be at Marvin.
Oh, mate, it's 8.
Mate, do you know what the worst thing about working at home and being on furlough is that your weekends are nothing because you have nothing to do. So although you don't really want to be working all the time, it gets to the weekend and you're still not doing anything. So you feel like it's a break from work, but in reality, there's not a lot you can do. Whereas I feel like if I was furloughed and doing nothing, or like I had all the free time, I could start projects and stuff like that. But where you only have the 2 days, it kind of just comes and goes because you want to spend it doing all the nothingness that you've not been doing.
Well, I'll be honest with you, like everything is merging together, like at the moment, like days just merged together.
Yeah,
I get that.
I take it you are stopping the recording.
No, I haven't stopped it yet. No.
Will you be? Is this all making it in?
I mean, I can stop. I'll stop it now.
Just
I
mindful
guess
of
we're
that,
ending I guess we're ending the podcast here. Let's hope that Zoom's recorded it well. I'll stop it.